This is the keyboard that all the major themes were created for Twin Peaks. It's an old Fender Rhodes and kind of beat up. And David would sit right over here, right to the right of me, and we would put a little cassette just about over here on this keyboard, just keep it in record and just keep it playing. David would sit here and I'd say, well, what do you see, David? What is, just talk to me.
So I just started doing this.
I could see a big owl.
But it wasn't quite what it seemed. And David said, Angelo, I'm thinking there's maybe an old lady. Maybe
She talks to a Christmas tree.
And there's another old lady, and sometimes she's Chinese.
Not as often as you'd hope.
But more often than's acceptable. And then there's this girl. You're not supposed to know that I wanna,
But I do. Big time.
It's really obvious, Angelo, and
especially in the Kling film.
And you get it. You're a man, Angelo.
He told me to slow it right down. I said, David, I got ahead of myself. I got too excited.
And David said, that's okay.
Yeah,
I did too.
Just when David was starting to peter out.
Ironically, when I was most tumescent,
I did one of these.
Oh, Angelo, he said. Angelo, keep
it fucking going.
It's giving me life. And then I knew what to do.
Not that though.
Oh, I knew it was coming, and so was he. David.
It's now.
Twin Peaks.
Oh no, and then I forgot the next big button.
Maybe there's a dwarf.
And that's how I wrote
Twin Peaks.
Not proud of that.
Please.
The bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
Hello and welcome to 2020's inaugural episode.
Yeah!
That's a shame.
You thought it was low energy.
Let me tell you, those boys, they are back in town.
The Dale.
The Dale, which is the premier town. Lisa Nandy's favourite.
I can't play anymore, that would get sued.
Okay.
Welcome back!
And you're saying the intro,
I
no
don't
lawsuits.
claim to know anything about any intros to any pods, any big pods.
And when you say I, what you mean is...
Isaac, that's what I is short for, whenever anyone says it. So there's a little fact.
So Isaac is Declan?
Yeah. Oh, clever grammatical joke to kick off the year and to kick off the decade.
Now, you mentioned this to me previously that you were going to start trying to do this, trying to do Decade, and I just don't think you should.
I think it's a good one.
What about, it was you,
Robert,
wasn't it, who said that you really like the term squeeze?
Squeeze as in like,
as in
she's
like
my
your gal.
main squeeze.
Yeah.
Or he, or they. Yeah, anyone can be a squeeze.
Yeah?
I do quite like it.
And why do you like that?
Just really weird. I picture a person stuck in a big froob tube being eked out like when toothpaste.
And no matter the context, you like that.
Always hot. Frozen, orifice ready for a plunge, just coagulated with the age of rotten milk. Anyway, any day. Welcome to the new decade. Let's shake on that.
Thanks.
Maybe
very
a
much.
secret handshake is in order for 2020.
Okay, secret even to me because I don't know what it's
Especially
like.
to you. Yeah, for sure. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm very warm.
Yes, fucking
It's
boiling.
very hot in
Horrible
here. Shall I
health
open the
that.
window?
You can, but yeah,
I'm
okay.
going to give it an open because we're slightly further away from a road here.
That's true.
Closer to the tube.
Closer to the tube, further from the road. That's where you'll find us these days. Now, it's been quite some time, and I'll be the first, nay second, to admit it. We've been, nothing but apologetic, nothing but woeful.
Woebetowed.
Yeah, woebetowed. Because of what I going to get out in front of and say was Declan's errors in the last couple of months of broadcasting.
It's quite interesting. This happens every now and then when like there's a bit of a gap in the podcast and like ordinarily it begins because you leave the continent for a long time.
For busy activities, I suppose, often.
Yeah, to go to see the mouse.
The mouse, the
big
Alps.
mouse, who I hear from several credible sources, kiss on the mouth.
Yeah, well, where else are you going to kiss it? The Undertale? Don't make me sick. Come on, that's a secret. That's Mickey's secret area.
I personally wouldn't be kissing the mouse at all.
Okay, but sometimes it's not optional if you want to get those big discounts. And if you want to get on the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover.
You're going to have to do way more than kiss it, looking at the state of your tax return, are you not?
I've got no money with now, gang. That's the main change. I guess if we're going to reintroduce ourselves, I used to have some money. I've now got no money. And so that's...
To reintroduce myself,
yeah.
I didn't have any before.
Yeah.
And also do not.
Oh, nice.
So I've kind of like stayed the same when you last heard us.
Yeah.
But it's funny because maybe the dynamic will change now that you're back on the poverty level.
Yeah, I've been kind of taken down a peg or two by the tax man.
Yeah.
And by daring to dream that life could be better. Because it can't. And if there's been any theme to our absence, it has been this reiteration from all angles, from all spheres, that daring to dream better than this
get any better than they are. Yeah. Better things are not possible.
They're not. And if you think that they are, well, I'm sorry in advance, and you're going to have a rude awakening. Is a kind of cork gun right down the throat, popping right down the throat.
Now, we say this because of the terrible loss of the general election by Labour.
Yeah, that was bad.
And the imminent departure of hero, Mr. Jeremy Corbyn.
And John Mack.
And Big Daddy, Don McDonnell, also on his way out. Now, across the pond, as they say, there seems slightly more hope.
Maybe, but this could be again. I mean, history tells us that we're in the daring to dream phase.
Yeah.
And frankly, there's only so many cycles of it that I can bother with.
That's true, but we were never in front.
That's true.
We were just, hoping.
Yeah.
If honestly it was quite
we were always behind. And in fact, it was mad to think that in a mere 4 years, we'd be able to right the devastatingly wrong course of this good ship, the United Kingdom, hurtling as it is towards a kind of Niagara Falls of racism into the mouth of a Conradian demon ready to suck it down into whites only town.
One of the interesting things that I've noticed about this month being the one at the end of which we just leave the EU.
Yeah, we're done with that now.
Is honestly the month in which I've heard the least about Brexit for 4 years.
Well, it's sorted, isn't it? We got Brexit done, you may remember.
Did we get it? Slogan. Oven ready, pop it in the microwave.
Yeah. And ding, something's dinging. One of the appliances. That's it. It's out of the dishwasher.
Oh.
Brexit. Ready mangled by the fairy suds.
Soapy.
So that's good. That's all been solved. Look, we're not strictly a politicast, as they call them.
No.
But we do sometimes dabble in that area.
We do.
I guess I'd like to ask you on air. I've been kind of holding off this until we had the forum and the witnesses.
Just to preempt you,
go on.
I did vote Tory.
Oh, no. But you live in Hendon constituency, that's right.
I do.
It was a margin of 1,072 seats. Now, you were campaigning actively during the election.
Yeah.
Will you, Declan Edmundo Delane, take ownership for that loss? In fact, you increased that margin, fourfold or something?
Personally?
Yeah.
As in, when I say this...
Or will you shoulder that big loss for you and the left?
Am I shouldering it, in its entirety?
Yeah, all of it, yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
No, I won't.
So you won't take responsibility?
Well, it wasn't my fault.
Okay, so you're one of these
I know that I
who washes their hands Pontius Pilate style of the whole affair. Oh, not over here, copper.
To be fair, and you preempt it there.
Yeah.
My anti-police narrative.
It was really colliding with our very pro-police candidate.
Pro-police, anti-pothole.
Pro-police to the extent...
Pro wearing a vest and picking up litter with a stick.
And also pro-police to the extent that he was willing to have a photo on his campaign material that made it look like he had been arrested.
Yeah.
Hands behind back, not visible.
It's really
flanked by the popo.
There's that moment in the very last episode of The Thick of It where Malcolm is going to be arrested, and the dad from My Parents Are Aliens is new, leader elect of the Labour Party, and they're at
It's the same
police
character,
station.
just so you know. There's a continuity.
And they're at a police station,
Yeah.
and he's standing with his hands behind his back.
All right.
And Ollie Reader says to him, like, don't put your hands behind your back, makes it look like you've been cuffed. And I was like, that's a funny joke about things that don't happen in politics, because that surely couldn't. And then there it is.
Yeah. And
Our guy.
I think we're probably the first people to note that we're living in a post-satire age, aren't we?
Wow.
I've just come up with
That's
that.
a cool-
That's a new take. I've got
It's
a commission
and
at the
I don't know-
Observer magazine.
I don't know if this goes alongside it, but
Go
it's,
on.
because that seems to be, partly because of, the ludicrous nature of the world.
Yeah, well,
and
it's all polarised.
all this fake news.
Yeah.
It's almost as well like where, I don't know if this kind of makes sense as a
No,
as a phrase,
go on.
but
Throw it out. There's
like-
no bad ideas.
post-truth.
Post-truth.
Yeah, like there's no truth.
There is some truth because it's true that we're
No,
in a
but-
post-satire age.
No, but after, no, but you can't know
it's
that.
not true, you're saying.
Yeah, well, I'm saying you can't know, like, truth.
Yeah, I guess you're right now.
It's everyone's gal.
Yeah, because sometimes when you go to Greg's, there's vegan food. And what's that?
I spit on
Harvester?
that.
I
Yeah.
kick a sausage roll. And they can't call it sausage under my rule book. It's not real meat, is it?
Well, it's Sharia law.
Yeah, so far at least. Let's park the politics, because obviously you're not willing to countenance that your factionalism, your tribalism has led to another 500 years of hard right Tory rule. And that's fine. Maybe it's a time of reflection for you, and maybe in time you'll be ready to kind of man up Blair style and really face that head
Maybe
on.
you, Keir, and all the moderates.
Yeah.
Because you're all in
Oh
the
no,
same
I'm not.
group.
I don't consider myself. I'm more of a Jess Phillips. Till I die.
I see.
She's one of us.
She
She's
is.
got hair like us.
She's got some interesting film theories as well.
Yeah, and she knows a lot about The Wire, and that's relatable because I haven't seen it, but I often pretend that I have
Ah.
when I need to seem cultured in a
Yeah,
big way.
when you need to say that The Sopranos is better,
Yeah.
you say The Wire's good.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's some excellent storylines, but the B plot's never worked for me.
No.
Yeah, and then people, interesting.
Yeah, they
you
know
come
a
and
lot.
join us again for another fun drink. But
Because
yeah,
you're controversial, but you're knowledgeable.
controversial but safe, and that's the space that I want the show to take in the new decade.
You're not out there saying Joey, the sequel to Friends, was the greatest bit of television ever
Since
made.
Young Sheldon. And even though that happened in before times, time is a flat circle. So it's just what goes around comes around.
We're probably getting a bit highbrow for the listenership.
Sorry, guys.
Not that you guys are
No.
simps or anything like that. No. Just, we
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of reflection and a lot of introspection, a lot of watching big media.
and I don't want this to be one of those podcasts that's all just jargon and
Goodness me,
internal
no.
like
A
jokes or
technocracy.
anything. No.
Surely not. Don't make me
Goodness.
sick. So what is the podcast? What is That's a Shame? Because normally, as we were saying just before we started the show, prior to a new year, let alone a new decade, and I will say a decade, we've come up with a manifesto based on a hindsight study of the dwindling enthusiasm that we've had, and indeed the listeners have had, for our ever weakening output as the year progresses. Saying that, normally, I think at least 1 year, October, November, December was quite strong. So we invented a whole load of holidays that
Yeah.
we've since fucked to the wall.
Well, I think it tends to pick up just after summer.
Okay.
Because, and I think that started with the Blocks Proj, where for summer there were no episodes.
Yeah, and that was an artistic choice, not one that we knew we were making at the time.
No.
And sometimes people criticize you and they say, well, that was lazy, but was it? Because we did end up doing a lot of work afterwards, just not when you expected. But yeah, normally we have a kind of spring in our step and fluff in our tails. I forget the second part of that expression.
That's okay.
As we announce a bold new vision for the future of the podcast. And we almost had one of those today, but not quite. Because we did do some discussion the other day about like, what's the show going to be this year? How do we reinvigorate ourselves first and foremost? Trickle down. We both believe in trickle down economics. I should make that clear.
You're going back to the political
Sorry,
stuff again.
but the personal is
You
political.
cannot be hit.
Yeah. This is the body politic. This.
That right there.
Touch that.
Oh,
that's the body
I was like,
politic.
static.
Yeah, it would be.
Do I have any?
No, sorry.
Oh.
No.
I've got more body but less politics.
It's weird. It's not. Yeah, the ratios are a bit askew.
That's strange.
We had some discussions about how to reinvigorate our relationship with the show. I nearly died in the middle of the word show.
no.
The show, like an old man. And we didn't conclude anything so much as we did watch 9 different versions of Billy Ray Cyrus's seminal work, Ready, Set, Don't Go. Sometimes feat Miley, sometimes not. Which are your preferences?
I'd like to make it clear to the listeners
that you
that
fucked
I
up
was
this show.
I was subjected to this hugely against my own will. Isaac,
But like that being Clockwork Orange, where he gets to
If
watch
I
all that
could
good
just-
program.
if I could just
Yeah, go on.
yeah,
go for it.
yes, thank you. He did want to start with us doing a full length
Yeah.
cover of this song that previously I'd never heard,
It's in the one episode of Hannah Montana I've ever seen in my life.
and that I didn't want you to have to hear.
But you are gonna.
And I have. If you thought that intro was sickening, if you thought it was perverted, if you thought it was borderline hate crime,
Libelous.
what? Wait, it's deep into libel. We're talking like defamation.
Oh, really?
Then just know that I have still spared both you and us
For now, at least.
from
Because
the alternative.
really the only conclusion that we drew from that planning session, we decided some things like we're going to try and refocus on this area of our shared expertise, which is delving into these bizarre communities of eccentrics and finding out what they've got to say about topics. You remember all our fat earth stuff. You remember all our incel chat, all of that stuff. We're going to do more of that.
Don't refer to it as our incel chat.
Yeah, our Declan's incel phase.
The incel phase is worse.
One of the other areas that I see
I've
being
been
big in
dicking down
2020.
left, right, and centre. I don't want.
It's not
I don't want to
supposed to be-
sell anywhere.
You're not supposed
near
to have
my
a
name.
tripod effect going on.
all over the gap,
Fucking
like the
hell.
aliens
Like a bird's
from
foot.
fucking War of the Worlds.
Wow. Which were a bird's foot held very close to the camera. So other than that, really the main focus for 2020, perhaps the decade as a whole, is going to be this Billy Ray Cyrus song, Ready, Set, Don't Go, and how we can weave it in.
And you think there's a decade
Honestly, there's a
of
lot to explore.
content in there?
His hairstyle alone is 3 years of chat.
Well, the number one thing that we would possibly explore, and if any of you do take the unfortunate step of watching it,
yeah, but
is,
you don't need to, because we will be releasing a cover video. Where
is just how much the song and all of the like videos and aesthetic around it
yeah.
it tries its hardest to imply that Miley is dead.
She was fucking murdered.
Even in like the one live performance, he's like out on the stage and she was like 20 yards back.
They never acknowledge each other really.
No, they didn't.
Until
And
the
she was
end,
just
and then
blurry.
by the time they do lock eyes, you can kind of semiotically take that as just like a force ghost, like it's a representation
I
of
took it as
his memories.
the song had been going on so long that he too had died and they just met
Okay.
in the
So-
afterworlds.
So Ready, Set, Don't Go obviously is going to be huge.
Hannah Valhalla.
Ah, a little sequel idea. Let's edit that
Thank
one
you.
out. Get
No,
our
well,
fingers clacking on a pilot.
Oh, I
We'll
see.
be pitching it to no one in no time at all.
When you said edit that one out, I thought you were like, you didn't like the...
No, I love it.
Okay,
I love
good.
it a lot, and I'm already working in my head on an arrangement of Ready, Set, Don't Go that adds that kind of Nordic.
Go, but it's got one of those
Violence.
little circles underneath like some of the letters.
We'll
do.
get that good choir back from the Block Switch project
Set,
episodes. Very good. Other than that, though, we want to just open up a dialogue, I suppose, and that's very much on our end, because if we don't post the
Trialogue,
show,
if you will.
okay, always with the dick jokes, but sure,
Why is that a dick
don't
joke?
worry about it. What
Your
we
mind
want
is
to do
filth.
is reinvigorate, re-establish. But before we do anything like crazy, we thought let's just get the show back going as a whole.
Yeah, probably good for it to exist before we...
Make any radical changes.
Yeah.
Based on nothing. Because nothing comes from nothing, nothing ever could. But somewhere in my youth or childhood, I must have done something good. That's Maria von Trapp. And I have, as I say that, a memory of quoting that in at least 2 other episodes. So that's just a little through line I'm sewing in.
Oh.
Kind of a last decade.
not a-
Ready, Set, Don't Go.
It's not a, like, indication that you're a one-trick pony. Or,
No.
You've got a kind of very limited...
No, I have a
set
wide
of
cultural range.
references.
I know Sound of Music. I know Mary Poppins.
Worlds apart.
The Austrian nanny one, where she's a governess in, and there's all the kids. Captain
There's the McPhee.
McPhee. Yeah, I know all of that good stuff. Culture and highbrow qualities are something that I know our listeners tune in for, and that's only going to be emphasised this year as we go plunging our hands into the waste disposal unit of culture and drag out the detritus from the bottom. Not the dry stuff that's maybe flaked or hardened. No, the wet, tendril-like. You know when you leave gravy too long in a gravy bone, it starts to coagulate into a kind of living blob, a sort of brown flubber of the boat. We're going to scoop some of that out. We're going to dust it off. Of course, we're going to have a taste. And then we're going to tell you all about it on the air. How does that sound?
Each week, Isaac tastes a new slime for the listeners.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're in.
I honestly
Let's
lost...
high five on it. Yeah. It's a binding
We'll do that.
high five contract. There it was. I was
It's fine.
Declan's
You
hand.
can just pop the sound effect in after. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I lost the metaphor before it even started.
What I'm saying is,
but
it's time
if
to
I-
get sludgeon.
If it's a shame that you spoke over because I was going to say if
sorry,
I could
go on.
interrupt.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Before you said that.
No, that's fine.
And then
But
you
you
wouldn't
can
have had
you
to.
can interrupt afterwards.
Okay, is that what I think you were saying?
Yeah,
Is that we're gonna try and do some more,
yeah.
slightly more, in some instances, formalized,
very damp,
content
gelatinous. Let's say the last word at the same time.
about
About 3, 2, 1.
Art.
Bisto art. Yeah, no art. Art, but in the very broad sense of gravy granules, which are an art for the tongue and throat to enjoy, not the teeth. Now, you very rarely need the teeth involved, but sometimes
for fun
get some cornstarch up in there. You got yourself a hockey puck.
that we might be doing some gravy content if Isaac insists. If
I
he
can't eat
really-
any fucking
If
gravies.
you really must. Oh no, why not?
They're all full of bone and meat.
No, they don't have to be.
Yeah, most of them are though. You have to go quite far out your way to find a.
You
they're
can
always
get
very
some
thin as
vegetable.
well. Thin.
Yeah,
Might as well just eat a soup.
Well, that's the price you pay.
Might as well eat a soup. Greg's new steak bake though, they've got a thick gravy, so maybe we can work with some of their flavour scientists
We were
on
talking
the
about
forbidden textures.
you could just call it. One of the things that we did talk, because I should be clear, the gravy angle, news to me. And we were talking for quite a while the other night, and there was ample time for him to bring this up. Like Isaac's main thing in a very sort of, I don't know, new wave far right sort of language was that he wanted to define a new normal.
Yeah, that does sound very fascist.
Yeah. And I was like, cool.
What is
You
it?
go ahead.
Yeah.
And then we will build whatever it is around
Now,
that. And now,
Did
what-
Sam to say to Frodo, "You go ahead, and I'll catch the
what-
next eagle down to Mount
But
Doom"?
what I'm
No,
saying-
they came with him
Yeah.
on the gravy journey,
No, and-
they sailed
but
that
this is
boat
it, is
up
that-
Mount Everest straight into
and
the
no,
lava.
and I'm not pushing all of the blame onto you. This
No.
is my own
Okay, so you're saying
hubris.
you should have
because
been
I should have been there because I have quite quickly
curtailed.
put a couple of damp fingers to the red hot wick of your gravy idea and just snuffed that one out early on.
Fine.
I was thinking more along the lines of, we were talking about maybe doing some more stuff about like children's TV shows.
Yeah.
or-
That's
and
one
comedies
idea
and
we did
things.
have, wasn't it? Was that we were going to introduce this kind of ongoing series feature into what is an ongoing series already. So probably it's too confusing to bother with. But if we were to do it, it would be like every so often we'd add a new episode to our kind of mini series, still on the same feed. We're not fucking about with
No,
that
don't.
RSS. Don't even be worrying. But another episode to the mini series called like Declan Gets Funky with the Kids from the 80s and 90s.
Well, they are now adults, so that's okay.
Yeah, but it will be as if they were children because you'll be watching their bodies from childhood in the context of children's television.
I won't be doing any funky business.
Well, it sounds like it's not going to translate well in an audio medium if it's just a very straightforward description. What are you going to be doing?
That's absolutely fine. Anything to keep the lawyers off our back.
That's fair enough.
Really.
So that was one big idea, was children's TV, because it's very odd, all of it. And
All of it's very odd. And yeah,
there you go.
because we watched this video like just before Christmas.
God, I forgot
And it
about
was
this
25
nightmare video.
minutes.
It felt like about
We should
3.5
watch it again.
hours. We shouldn't. I can't
We
carve
should.
out the afternoon.
You can.
Quite.
It's 25 minutes. I showed my family when I got home. We watched it, and
How did it land?
well,
Families don't tend to like
well,
long
apart from
YouTube
no,
videos.
well, apart from with Dad, but he's
Okay.
drunk and miserable, so it,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting much, so I wasn't.
Would you say he's a paedophobe?
Would I say he's a paedophobe?
Yeah.
Frightened of children?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
no.
not necessarily frightened, but like a hydrophobic
No,
substance just repels it.
Just angered by things on the telly that are
Okay.
not telly.
So he's ped ambivalent.
Um,
He's sort of p neutral.
I
A ped centrist.
I would leave PAED out of it altogether.
I was PAED actually. I was going old school. I'm going Greek with it.
Oh, that's what I meant to say. I
Yeah.
just got them the wrong way
Oh,
around.
that's fine. That's fine.
Does anyone? No one
No,
shows it.
that,
PEAD.
that means you like the vegetable. I did almost say tiny fruit.
Oh
P.
no.
So you were showing them the vid.
Yeah, but one of the things
We haven't
that
said
I
what the vid was, I don't think.
no, well, you kept interrupting.
Okay.
It was just a collection
Hmm.
of kids' TV show intros from the 90s and noughties. And it went on forever, as we
It did.
mentioned. One of the things that was a running theme was that half of them were things we knew, and the other half were government psyops.
Yeah, that never
Designed-
did exist. Berenstain Bears style.
Like, and not in a something like that, but no. These were things that categorically could not have existed because they were too horrific
Yeah.
to have slipped our minds.
And not to get like almost 30s on everyone, because we're both edging there, some more than others.
Well, I'm 25.
Yeah, well, for now, you're
You're
almost...
28.
I'm 27, yeah, big age. 27 club. Here I come.
28 this year, though.
One of the things that happened in the 90s when you were watching TV is that there wasn't much of it that was for you.
No.
So I believe wholeheartedly that there were every single kid, hashtag 90s kids, would have an encyclopedic knowledge of all the stuff that was on. Because you would even, like, once the BBC stuff was over, you could switch to CITV, catch some tricky TV, maybe.
10
get
minutes
the
of
end
Nick
of a
Jr.,
penguin or
maybe.
something. But there was no bandwidth, no space for these monstrous shows to exist.
And monstrous is the key word. And here's the other thing that we noticed about them, is that all of the ones that definitely didn't exist were about two
Yeah,
different but horrible creatures
there's a real naming convention.
who all had a name that went to the same cadence of Flongus and Gloop,
Hadley and Spaff.
Spiddy and Nonk.
They're just like, and the first one's normally just a guy, like a fucking just a guy.
And then the other
second
one is the other one could be anything from his dog to
a total anti-theist abomination.
flesh monster. Now, I'm going to use an image here that I learned only today.
Okay,
Don't know if you'll know it. Don't know if the listeners will.
I like the
If
idea of
not-
learning a new image. So,
Yeah.
yes, share that with us.
If not, would encourage everyone to check it out as
Give it
a
a
new
goog.
reference for their horror. Ralph Breaks the Internet.
yeah,
Seen it?
I have seen it. Yeah, I saw it in
Yeah.
the cinema.
What about the dark web flesh slug
Oh,
who gives him the virus?
now see, I don't recall that because for possibly two reasons. Here are my two theories, and I want you to
Okay.
Zapruder style. Just think about
Piece
which
them together,
seems more
yeah.
accurate. Number one is I think I went to see that film solely to distract myself from excruciating kidney pain last year. So it's possible that I left the cinema or the kind of consciousness of my own reality temporarily while that happened. Theory two is, what if my brain couldn't handle it? You know how Stephen, oh God, he's shown me a pic of it. It's got its own self coming out of its nipples.
That's his
He's
brother.
lactating his own brother.
It's his brother, and if you look at it, he gets really angry.
Does he squeeze out?
Maybe
It's
have
like
a look at
like
some
a
of its.
whitehead.
Maybe check out its teeth.
They're nice teeth, yeah. Upsettingly human.
What you might see is it's got sort of mutton chops.
And
down
there's
the
a
side,
fine
yeah.
downy hair to it.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. I think probably then, on reflection, it's theory two. Stephen King loves to write about how when he can't be bothered to describe something, he'd say cynically, but I actually think this is a good idea. He'll say, like, the character couldn't even, like, fathom it, or they would have lost their fucking mind. So maybe that was I imagine on an IMAX screen or a super screen where I invariably would have
horrific.
been, I'd have died of brain.
Oh, you wouldn't want that.
No.
Not when the kidneys are supposed to take you.
Exactly. I mean, come on. Give us one
Leave
or the
something
other.
to them.
Yeah. Now, remind the listeners why you've burdened us with
Well, because
this
they're talking
slug
about
image.
what the secondary characters in all of these children's television shows
Okay,
look
and
like.
that's the one that you identify
That,
with.
yeah,
here.
that's one who, like, that would just be there, and they would go on little travails together.
Yeah.
It was...
Stilton and Cum was one, like that sort of example. That's just an example of how some of them
An
sounded
example
and
of-
were. One of the TV shows.
It's certainly an example.
It certainly is. So that's on the cards, isn't it? Isn't it?
What?
Or are we just saying it?
Stilton and Cum is on the cards.
Should we make...
No. Stopping you there.
I was going to say
No.
a platter of
Definitely.
party guests. It's an aperitif and a amuse-bouche.
It's not.
Your bouche has never been more amused.
Don't like
than
the idea
salty
of...
combo.
I don't like the idea of us making it. Don't want to be doing
Shotgun the Stilton. I'll get right to work.
Okay, wow. Well, good for you.
Oh dear.
I might
this
neglect
one
my
out.
part.
One thing I've noticed this decade is you're not on board with a lot of my big ideas. And I think that probably comes from, you know how when people leave the Westboro Baptist Church,
just so that like we're all aware, I know why it is that Isaac's picked up on this, and I'll explain the real reason after he's gone through.
I don't know what you mean by the
go on.
real
No, it's
reason, but
okay,
okay.
come on.
So the Westboro Baptist Church, close knit. That's what you can say for them.
They love it.
Say what you like about all of the flagrant homophobia, transphobia, offensive kind of borderline.
Racism.
Yeah, there is some of that. Although a lot of them worked as civil rights lawyers, so that's weird, isn't it? Goes to show, takes all sorts to be a fundamentalist group. But when they're all together en masse, living in the Dale, doing their podcast, I assume they do, writing their weird Katy Perry, because it's always Katy Perry, parodies of songs that had initially innocuous meanings but have been taken to mean stuff about the gay agenda. They're all on the same page, right? One of them leaves jail, for example, and
That's
it's a
a
matter
name,
of
not
one
leaves
of them
jail.
leaves jail. Grace, there's an easier name, and within a week they're like getting tattoos. They're just living life. They're hanging out with Snoop Dogg and
Yeah.
Puff Diddley and getting turned, as they say on Twitter. Now, do you worry that the absence from your life of me has perhaps made you stray from the cause?
No, what it is that, as listeners will be able to attest,
Yeah.
I've never been on board
What?
with these ideas.
That's weird because you have been party
I-
to most all of them.
No, I've
A ringleader, some say.
I've never been party to them. I've never been on board with them.
Right.
The difference is, you're poor like me now. You had the arrogant rose-tinted
okay.
glasses of wealth.
Yeah.
And you saw me as just another
An
tool
underling.
in your arsenal.
Yes.
And
I was interfacing with you through the lens of capital.
exactly. And so you saw, even in my abject refusal to
Yeah.
participate, you simply saw someone who could, would, and did
Be
do your bidding.
leveraged. So I could leverage you with threats of cutting off the teat, I suppose.
Exactly. And I
flow
needed the teeth.
Thence speweth the galactose.
And now the teat
Yeah.
has run dry of its own accord.
It's cribbled up and fallen off.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Like an old wart.
So so now you
So
have
what-
to see things as they are.
Okay,
And
so
it's
what we're
the-
saying is new Decade, new Isaac, but in a worse sense. In a worse sense, in terms of, I suppose, like spending power.
it's
but
gonna
a much better. I'm getting back to my roots.
yeah, it's and your roots just being like when we started the show and you were having to
Graft.
teach carnies in order to pay off your overdraft.
Yeah. God, I can't wait to do that again. If you happen to know any travellers of the circus variety, send them my card. Absolutely, because I've got previous there. Okay, well that's a theory. I suppose it's not necessarily a convincing theory. We'll leave that to the listeners to decide. But they're not stupid and they'll see through your kind of slanderous nonsense.
I've got another sort of projection for the show.
Okay.
As it were. And this is just one I'm hoping.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and say I think the listeners are hoping too.
Okay. Third
Which
host.
is that we're no.
Okay.
No. we're getting all of the. I'm going to be crude here.
Come on.
We're close.
No.
We're getting all the cum talk out the way in episode 1.
No.
So
I've just
You've
had a
had a
vision, almost
renewed
like a
se-
prophecy.
a renewed
And
sense
off
of
in the
virility.
future, CFI. Piles of the stuff.
Oh no!
I've just realised cum is white gravy as well. So that's something to
Well,
think
it is
about.
a soup.
There's a circularity there. A Steinbeckian parallel between our gelatinous gravy chat and the kind of gelatinous semen vibe that comes from the denaturing of the protein in a warm water context.
And
Wanking in a hot tub.
And when you say circular, I think that again now more than ever, myself and the listeners hoping that, like all circles, it's a closed loop contained within this episode. And I don't want to dampen your creative spirits.
No, you don't want to spaff on my parade. I suppose you'd say.
I certainly don't.
That's one of your verbs for the year, isn't it, as well? That's why it's in my head so much, because you keep bringing it up.
Oh. What, because I said it once in the context the other day of how I hate
Words
the
that you
word.
hate, yeah, alongside another one that you hate as well.
Nut.
Yeah, I don't love that.
Yeah. But you're
I
the
don't
one...
love it, but part of my brain stores them and then has to weaponize them.
No, I know, you did it last year
I don't
with,
like it.
with Bog.
I didn't do it with
did.
Bog. The
You
audio has
did.
been stripped. Bare.
That's because you have gone through and deleted
No,
all
I meant
of
in
the
the sense of a
instances.
strip search.
No.
And no one can find
You've
those
gone through and
waveforms.
unedited
Those bad
it.
waveforms, they never were and never would be.
And I'm really just hoping that, and I'm not going to, if you say it again
Yeah.
in future episodes,
You're not going to just cut off the part.
no, I won't do anything like
That's
that.
big of you.
But I'm begging
Yeah.
that we just, because I think, personally,
Yeah.
I think cum is better if it's just every now and then.
Yeah, that's true. You want
If
to
you're
build it up.
drowning in the stuff, it may as well be water.
That's true. And that's where I suppose we get the mantra young, dumb, and full of, and then the last word.
Water.
Yeah, water. 70% of the stuff. So look, all of this is to say that we're back. And I hope
Whether you like it or not.
we're going to try, aren't we, I think? Especially now I've got no future. Might as well give it a go.
Yeah.
To just kick this right back in gear. Kick it in the patella. From behind, to buckle the leg of protest against us being the most popular cum show this side of the Mississippi, I suppose.
Wow.
And yes, we'll be taking on new and diverse topics. And yes, I'm already scouring the back of my mind for interview guests, because I do think we should do some more of that, because we can't dine out on Wayne Chipman forever. As last decade. People have forgotten they are hungry for more. They're chomping at the bit.
I used it hugely successfully as a prompt on my Hinge profile for like 2 months.
What did you say?
It was something
Jesus was the original flat earther. You heard it here first.
about... It said, the prompt was, what's something you believe? And I said, Jesus is. No, it was like, what's...
Your
it was just
contribution to
something,
journalism.
it's just, what's something strange about, I don't know.
What a fucking asinine question.
Yeah, it was.
They might as well just have ended it
But I
on
just
what's
said that we
something.
interviewed a flat earther for a podcast, and
Did
he was
people
a fucking lunatic.
bite at that?
People love that.
Do they want to know, did you get anyone who you felt bit because they were like hoping that you were sympathetic to the flat goal? Really?
Yeah.
That's really good. We should interview them.
They were, I think they were really hoping that I was pro.
But didn't want to be too
No,
obvious. about
and
it.
then when I said that I wasn't, they kind of reduced it to a like, we can't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we do.
It's the same energy as if you park in a lay-by and another car comes up and they're probing to see if you're down for a
They're
dogging.
pro-dogging,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh no. And
At
they're
best.
like, me neither. I just like a kiss in the rain.
Specifically in the back of my Vauxhall
Yeah.
Corsa. The doggingest car. No, a Corsa is not a dogging car. It has to be like one of those long ones.
No,
like an
Vauxhall
estate.
Corsa's much worse. Do you remember that petition that was
No
on
more
like
dogging.
that was on the failed? You know how anyone can start a petition on the
as in like the
gov.uk
Gov? Yeah,
website, and it was on. Well, it was one of the failed ones, and it was a joke one. Someone apart that was make it legal for Vauxhall Corsa drivers to finger their underage girlfriends
Oh,
as long as
no.
they're in their car.
Is that a
Because
stereotype
that's,
of the Corsa driver?
all of them,
Sexual predators.
all of them are paedophiles.
Well, if you are a Corsa owner or you know one, turn yourself in.
Turn yourself
Do
and
the
them
right thing.
into the
Do
police.
the right thing. Don't have this podcast on you when you go to the Nick, because we don't need that.
We don't need that
Don't
trouble coming around
need
here.
that. Leave us out of it. 2020 is going to be huge. I sense that. I can feel it in my very viscera. They're all twinging with a kind of palsy that's suggestive of productivity, of reinvigoration, of an adrenaline shot to the left ventricle, the best ventricle, as I always think of it. I'm just getting ready to pop off. You feeling down for it?
Yeah, sure.
I've been Isaac. You've been.
I've been Declan.
Here's to a big decade.
Fine.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder, my new home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. Come to you.